Welcome back to the rolling coverage of the India-China border talks. We have a quick news update coming in now that the participation, this is a China mouthpiece has said, and I quote, that the participation of regional top tactical army general to China-India border meeting on Saturday shows that the two sides expect to resolve tensions in a point-to-point manner, and commanders stationed near the site are sufficient to raise relevant issues. That's a Chinese mouthpiece that is just tweeted. And let me go across now to Srijan Singh. Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh continues to stay with us, a very senior officer, former GOC of 15 Corps, live from Delhi this afternoon. Commodore GJ Singh, defense expert, live from Bengaluru, and Srijan Singh. Srijan Singh, the way the talks are going, so obviously there were and there are mixed messages coming in from Beijing on the nature of engagement between India and China. What do you make of what you're hearing since this morning after the meeting began?
Well, I think, again, mixed messages as usual from China. It is threatening from one hand and showing sort of an olive from the other. But to understand the developments over the course of time from China, China is something like a mafia these days. It has the language of a don. It threatens to cut off world antibiotic supply if the world accuses of COVID. It says that it annexes Hong Kong and doesn't wait till 2047 with even to Hong Kong. It has a problem with, we just heard, with Amul, if it prints an ad against, or even a cartoon which has a dragon in it, and it gets Twitter, a company which does not operate in China at all, to block the account. It gets a company which doesn't operate like Google to remove a Play Store app of removing Chinese apps from its Play Store. China is behaving like a thug here, and that's what's going to continue. The language right now is a mixed message, but the undertone of that is just an intimidation message. And the reason for that is because China has a very soft underbelly after COVID. The whole world is looking at China with eyes of suspicion. China fears that India might be the alternative of all its factories. The whole world is looking at India as an opportunity. India is opening itself up for the world to operate and replace India with China. So that's the kind of message India is giving to the world, and the world is welcoming that. Today, in fact, just as we were talking, the unemployment numbers of US came up, and the US economy has now sprang up. 2.5 million new jobs were created in May, which has surprised everybody. So the recovery of the Americans have already started, and that is pushing China into a very tight spot. And the entire thing is not a military conflict, as Lieutenant General Sahaji was saying. It is not a military conflict. It's an escalation of a political and an economic issue which China has with India. And India is China's biggest economic rival. And China fears, and I was telling it earlier as well, that the whole the Belt Road Initiative, in which Xi Jinping has not only invested $4 trillion, but also invested his entire legacy on it, is under threat. Because if India becomes the factory of the world, then what will China transport in those, on those Belt Road initiatives? The other thing is, one must understand that this is also a challenge to our sovereignty. We are building an infrastructure in our territory. Who is China to tell us that what we can build and what we can't? Tomorrow it will have it will have a problem with everything which we do. We didn't say anything when China made a road in Aksai Chin 6 decades ago. Yeah. China made its Belt Road Initiative run through Aksai Chin, and India didn't say a thing. So this is a challenge to our sovereignty, and the undertone of that is do not challenge us on economy, do not challenge us politically, don't say anything to us in WHO.
Srijan, let me go across to Baswati Mukherjee.